Hello and welcome to the Hibs Observer post-match debrief with myself, Liam Bryce, joined by Patrick McPartlin, for a quick look back at Hibs 3, Motherwell 1, a win for David Gray's side that takes him into the top six in the Scottish Premiership, and just a very good day all round.
Yeah, I think so. It's certainly, when you looked at this before kick-off and you looked at how Hibs have kind of been patched up in the last few weeks, and just the fact that, previously this would have been, calling it banana skin doesn't feel quite right, but I think that kind of game where you just thought after the high of last week with the result against Rangers and the way things have been going, this would have been sort of prime sort of Hibs territory to sort of mess things up. But I mean, to be honest, not a lot happened in the opening kind of 20 minutes, and then the game kind of burst into life a little bit with that quick fire goals from Martin Boyle and Nectar Triantis, and there probably should have been more in the first half, and then certainly in the second half as well. And then Motherwell getting a free kick and getting a goal back might have put a little bit of fear into Hibs earlier in the season, but pretty much just picked themselves up, went up the other end, scored a third. Bit of good fortune coming from the penalty spot, but I mean, I don't think there was ever really any question that Hibs were going to win this. They never looked uncomfortable. They never looked in any real danger, and it's not something we're really used to seeing from Hibs this season. But it has become maybe a feature of more recent games. But just a comfortable day at the office, and as you say, in at the top six for the first time this season.
Yep, we were talking before the game about how the wins at Pittodrie and Tynecastle are the ones that are obviously going to grab the headlines and catch people's eye. But I think these are the games that Hibs need to make a habit of winning them if you want to be consistently up there in the top six, challenging for the European places. And again, it's not something they've done for a while now. But with the kind of grinding out a win over Kilmarnock here, getting a very credible draw with Rangers, and then this was mostly first three. I would say that Motherwell had a wee spell in the second half, but I think it was mostly a comfortable win for Hibs, and it's the kind that, as I said, don't maybe grab so many headlines, but these ones are so important. It's just making your home ground somewhere that you feel comfortable playing, comfortable picking up results, and you can kind of feel that coming into things for Hibs at the moment. I think just if we rewind a wee bit to the first half, I think the opening goal, obviously the second goal comes within a few minutes after that, but the timing of that was so crucial because it's not, as you say, it was kind of the first sort of serious goal mouth action of the game, certainly as far as I can remember. And I think the longer it kind of goes on like that, well, there's nothing really happening. It threatens to turn the game into a bit of a slog.
Yeah.
And then so to get that breakthrough and sort of Motherwell, you can tell that a draw would have suited them today. A draw would have been a really good result for Motherwell. I think they made 6 changes. I think it was they made a fair few changes to their team. They obviously played in midweek. You could tell that they were probably happy with a draw. So I think to get that breakthrough when Hibs did, it was a really important timing, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen this movie with Hibs so much this season where they've created a lot of chances, or they've got they've used the ball well in and around the final third, but just haven't been able to do anything with it. And it did feel a little bit like that. There were some sort of nice crosses, there was some good sort of build-up play, and then nothing really falling for them. And I think when Nicky Cadden was forced off after about 20 minutes with a head injury or severely bleeding nose, one of the two, I think you did start to fear then that that was one of his sort of main attacking outlets, going off, and you just thought, is this the sort of the day that all kind of comes juddering to a halt? But in fairness to Hibs, they just they kept going. Jordan Abita, a sort of enabled deputy in that left wing back role, and indeed made the goal by putting in a sort of really sort of kind of a vicious driven cross, which sort of was just asking for a Motherwell defender to try and get something on it, which they did. Which kind of I think was part of the reason it sat up so nicely for Martin Boyle just to tap it in with with a little fuss. But you're right, it was a good time to score because you thought if it had got to half time and Hibs hadn't scored, it was 0-0, then you could just imagine the grumbling starts in the stands. Motherwell get a bit more kind of confidence from having shut Hibs out. And Hibs start maybe thinking this is a tougher test, but instead they scored one. There was a bit of a lengthy VAR check for offside, which is, I think, understandable because on first watch I thought Martin Boyle was offside. Looking at David Gray in the dugout, I think he thought Martin Boyle was offside, but in the end the goal stood, and not long after that Nectar Triantis displayed very un-Nectar Triantis-like qualities. That's a bit unfair. Previously perhaps, but in his new role as the sort of marauding number 8, latching on to a sort of wayward pass out from Archie Mayer in the Motherwell goal to drive towards the opposition penalty area, and then just a really well taken goal from the edge of the box and off the far post.
Yeah.
And not the sort of thing we're used to seeing him doing, but we know he can do it. We know he's got
certainly
that.
not from a guy who first came here as a centre half.
Very true. But that sort of was a real kind of sucker punch. While Motherwell were still kind of reeling over conceding the goal, and I think the lengthy wait to see if it was going to be given. And Hibs have been really good at that, I think, in this sort of like purple patch, if you want to call it, or since they've kind of turned things around a little bit. That instead of just sort of like scoring a goal and then sitting back, they do go for another one. They do sort of try and like really kind of turn the screw, and just that's what they did here in really good fashion. And that probably took them through most of the game, because they knew from that point that Motherwell would then be trying to chase to get back into the game. And we saw the second half was a bit more of a slog. There were a lot of changes on both sides, but in the end, Hibs keep pushing, and they get a penalty. They get that sort of third goal, which gives them a bit of a bit of breathing space, if you like.
Yeah.
And even though Motherwell did kind of throw things at the box, there was never really any sense that they were going to come back into it, or that Hibs were going to sort of chalk up one of their famous last minute draws from a winning position.
Yeah, it seemed like they are, I don't want to tempt fate here, but it seems like those are becoming a thing in the past. Today was kind of maybe more evidence of that. Hibs getting back on the front foot and just killing the game off. It sort of takes any slight wind out of Motherwell's sails that they they get their tails up thinking they're going to get back into the game, and then it's just the 2-goal deficit is restored within a couple of minutes. But you talked about Triantis there. Obviously, if you were at the game, you would have heard that over the Tannoy announced man of the match. He was really good last week against Rangers, caught a lot of people's eye, and he was outstanding today. Definitely the best player on the pitch.
Piping slippers
for me. Yeah, he absolutely strolled it, to be honest. And the goal was just. It just shows you how much he's got in his locker, really. I mean, he's kind of. I think the reading of the game and everything that comes with playing in that position, that'll improve for him as he gets older. He's still a young guy, but then he's kind of got the athleticism. Like not only after he makes that interception, but he's still got such a long way to go to goal. But obviously he's a big lad. He can get about the pitch, and he just sort of galloped away from the Motherwell defence. Yeah. And then I think when he gets into the box, he's still got an awful lot to do. And you're thinking, I think he possibly had a wee glance across the box, maybe considered trying to find somebody, but obviously confidence is a wonderful thing, isn't it? And the finish was brilliant. It got a wee bit of luck that it deserved, going in off the post rather than spinning back out. So he's becoming so important for this team at the moment, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, to be fair, you can see players sometimes do that when even if it's not their kind of their wheelhouse. If they get that interception on the halfway line and they sort of canter forwards and they've got a sight and goal, like why not? Because things like what we saw happen today can happen. You're scoring a goal from 18 yards and off the far post, and you're right. It is sort of that kind of general feeling amongst Hibs at the moment that anything can happen, and so it does feel that it's worth
it's
Nicky,
fun.
It is, yeah. And it's another 3 goals. It's obviously people saying in the comments 3 is the magic number, clearly, because you go to a Hibs game and they don't score 3 goals and you start feeling shortchanged. But I think it's just the players have been talking about this quite a lot, about getting a little bit of rub of the green, getting a bit of luck, and it kind of feels a little bit that at the moment that you make your own luck to a certain extent, but Hibs were quite often getting the break of the ball, or just when Triantis gets that sort of wayward pass from Mayer and he just canters free, has the shot. If that was earlier in the season, he either doesn't get the interception, or the shot comes off the post, as you say, and goes back out, or he would have been his first touch would have been poor or something like that. But at the moment, it just feels no matter who it is, that Jack Iredale as well at the back today, Rocky Bashiri, Warren Ahora, just really kind of comfortable. And there's like the odd wayward pass, there's the odd sort of heart and mouth moment, but you can just sort of tell that there is this sort of confidence, and not a sort of an arrogance, but just a kind of confidence that that has kind of, I think, has always been there all along, but it's just you're seeing it come out now because they've put in the hard work, and they're starting to get that rub of the green, starting to get to the results that the play deserves. And it's understandable that they're going at the games of confidence, and it's really helping them to put in performances like this. So when they are 2-0 up and they lose one, instead of thinking we better shut up shop and we better not concede again, they just think we'll just go score another one. I'm not sure how sustainable that is. I think David Gray earlier on in the season was saying we can't keep scoring 4 or 5 goals to win games, but I mean apparently that's what not a million miles away from what they're doing just now.
Absolutely. We're going to leave it there for just now, folks. We're going to jump down to the post-match press conference. There's obviously a lot more to unpack from this game, so we'll be back on Monday for a proper review of the 90 minutes. But for now, as I said, we're going to leave it there. Do stay tuned on our YouTube channel and on the website for just everything from David Gray's post-match press conference. We'll be bringing that very shortly. But for now, thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Cheers.
Cheers.